The gymnasium hummed with the sharp echoes of bouncing basketballs and the steady rhythm of sneakers skidding across polished hardwood. Under the harsh glare of the overhead lights, the Lincoln High basketball team moved with practiced precision, weaving through drills and exercises that had become a daily ritual. The scent of sweat, varnish, and determination mingled in the air, framing the atmosphere as one charged with expectation and tension. Maya Thompson stood at the edge of the court, a fresh face among seasoned players. Her slender frame seemed almost fragile beneath the standard-issue team jersey, the number 12 boldly stitched on the back. She watched the others with quiet intensity, absorbing every movement, every call from Coach Reynolds, whose booming voice commanded attention. Coach Reynolds was a figure carved from the very essence of basketball discipline. Tall and imposing, with a sharp jawline and eyes that missed nothing, he paced along the sideline like a general surveying his troops. His reputation for ruthless coaching was well known, a man who believed that only the toughest would survive the season. His standards were exacting, every player was expected to push beyond limits, to embrace the grind without complaint. From the moment Maya had joined the team, she felt the weight of scrutiny. On this particular afternoon, the practice began with warm-ups, then quickly shifted to shooting drills. The players rotated through stations, but Maya's focus was interrupted when Coach Reynolds abruptly stopped the session. "Thompson," he barked, pointing directly at her. The court fell into a hush as all eyes turned to the newcomer. "What was that? You call that a layup?" His tone was sharp, edged with disdain. Maya's cheeks flushed, but she kept her gaze steady. She knew better than to respond. Instead, she moved back into position, preparing for the next attempt. Coach Reynolds circled her like a hawk, dissecting every movement. "Too slow, too hesitant. You're not here to take up space. You're here to compete." His voice cut through the murmurs of the team. "If you can't keep up, maybe you don't belong." The words hung in the air, heavy and unforgiving. Around her, teammates exchanged glances, some skeptical, others silently judging. Whispers began to ripple through the group, doubts about Maya's ability to handle the season's intensity. Jasmine, the team's veteran point guard, leaned toward a teammate and muttered, "She's never going to make it. Too quiet, too green." Maya's grip tightened on the basketball, but outwardly she remained composed. She was no stranger to pressure or doubt. Her past had been filled with expectations that often felt like chains. Her family's quiet wealth had afforded her a privileged education, but basketball was different here. Skill and grit mattered more than pedigree. As the drills resumed, Maya focused on each shot, each pass. The repetitive motion was both challenge and comfort. Yet, every misstep seemed magnified under Coach Reynolds' piercing gaze. When she faltered in a fast break drill, the coach's criticism was swift and public. "Stop hesitating," he snapped. "This isn't a charity game. You've got to move with purpose." The other players shifted uncomfortably, some shooting sympathetic looks her way, others avoiding eye contact altogether. Maya's heart pounded, but she refused to let the frustration show. Instead, she nodded silently and pushed herself harder, channeling the sting of criticism into determination. Between drills, brief conversations flickered among the team. Maya caught snippets, questions about her background, her quiet demeanor. Her intelligence was evident in the way she analyzed plays, but her silence made her an enigma. "Where did you play before?" a teammate asked cautiously during a water break. Maya shrugged lightly. "A private school in the city. Not much of a basketball program, but I've trained on my own." The answer seemed to deepen the divide. City training didn't always translate to high school varsity toughness, the unspoken message being that Maya's experience might be inadequate for the rigors ahead. Yet beneath her calm exterior, a quiet resolve simmered. She observed not just the plays, but the dynamics, the subtle alliances, the hierarchies, the unspoken rules that governed the team. She understood that winning would require more than skill. It demanded earning respect, breaking through barriers that were not always visible. The practice pressed on, shifting to defensive drills where Maya struggled to match the speed and aggression of her peers. Each time she lagged, Coach Reynolds' voice grew louder, his criticisms more biting. "Defense is about heart, Thompson. You're not just guarding a player, you're protecting this team. Show me you care." Maya's breath quickened, sweat slicking her brow, but she kept moving, refusing to give him the satisfaction of defeat. Her movements were deliberate, trying to compensate for lack of experience with focus and precision. At one point, during a scrimmage, Maya intercepted a pass but hesitated before making the next move, a moment Coach Reynolds seized on mercilessly. "What's wrong with you? Make a decision. You're paralyzed out there," he shouted. The team's energy shifted, the pressure was palpable. Some players exchanged glances, their earlier doubts hardening into certainty that Maya might not endure the season's demands. But Maya's silence remained unbroken. Instead of reacting defensively to the coach's outburst, she took a calming breath and scanned the court, searching for an opening. Though her legs trembled slightly, her mind was sharp, calculating the best option. Throughout the session, she tended carefully to the small injuries and soreness that accumulated, a subtle reminder that she was pushing her limits. Her resilience was quiet, almost unnoticed, but it was there, a steady undercurrent beneath the surface. As practice drew near its close, Coach Reynolds gathered the team for a final lecture, his voice steady but intense. "You're going to face a tough season. It won't be easy for any of you, and especially not for some. But if you want to be champions, you have to earn it every day. No excuses. No second chances." His gaze swept across the players, lingering briefly on Maya. "You, Thompson, have a long way to go. But if you're willing to fight for it, maybe you'll prove me wrong." The team dispersed, some heading to the lockers while others lingered, discussing the day's challenges. Maya remained on the court a moment longer, picking up stray basketballs, replaying the coach's words in her mind. Despite the sting of criticism and the whispers of doubt, she felt a strange calm settling in. The gym, with its harsh lights and relentless demands, had become a proving ground not just of physical skill, but of inner strength. Maya's journey had just begun, and though the path ahead was uncertain, her steady determination was a quiet promise. She would not be broken so easily. The next practice began under the same harsh fluorescent lights, the gym once again filled with the clatter of basketballs and the relentless shuffle of feet. But the energy was different, tenser, sharper, as if the team was carrying the weight of unspoken expectations. Maya arrived early, her mind still spinning from the last session's verdicts, determined to change the narrative. Coach Reynolds wasted no time launching into a scrimmage, a fast-paced, full-court battle designed to push every player to their limits. The team divided into two groups, urgency evident in the quick exchanges and shouted commands. Maya took her position cautiously, aware of the eyes tracking her every move, but this time something inside her was poised to respond differently. Minutes into the scrimmage, the ball found its way to Maya on the perimeter. She dribbled with quiet confidence, scanning the court as defenders closed in. The pressure was immediate, teammates shouted for passes, opponents pressed hard, but she moved deliberately, as if the chaos was a puzzle she was solving. Suddenly, a misstep from a teammate opened a chance for the opposing team to intercept, and Coach Reynolds' voice rang out, sharp and unforgiving. "Thompson. Anticipate. Don't freeze." Instead of retreating into silence, Maya's eyes narrowed. She raised her voice, directing a teammate to cut toward the basket, signaling a strategic play. The ball was passed back to her, and with a swift crossover dribble, she penetrated the defense, weaving through players with a fluidity that caught everyone off guard. At the critical moment, she launched a sharp pass to Jasmine, who scored effortlessly. The gym erupted in murmurs, surprise, disbelief, and a flicker of newfound respect. Coach Reynolds stopped the scrimmage abruptly. His usual stern expression was replaced by a flicker of something else, curiosity, perhaps even grudging admiration. "Hold it," he said, his voice lower but no less authoritative. That was impressive. The players gathered around, their earlier doubts momentarily replaced by intrigue. Maya's quiet leadership had shifted the rhythm of the game, transforming hesitation into decisive action. After a brief regroup, Coach Reynolds addressed the team, his tone less severe but still commanding. "Leadership isn't just about scoring points or making flashy moves," he said, glancing at Maya. "It's about vision, communication, and understanding the flow of the game. Today, Maya showed us all what that looks like." The room seemed to breathe differently in that moment. Maya, who had been on the fringes, was now the axis around which the team's energy pivoted. Her basketball IQ, once concealed beneath layers of self-doubt and external skepticism, was now impossible to ignore. Teammates began to approach her with questions and tentative smiles. Jasmine clapped her on the back. "You really changed the game today. Didn't know you had it in you." Maya nodded, a faint smile breaking through her usual reserve. The barriers were beginning to crack. Coach Reynolds continued, outlining new plays and strategies that incorporated Maya's insights. He encouraged the team to work together, emphasizing mental toughness and teamwork over raw physicality. The shift was subtle but profound. Practice moved from a battleground of individual endurance to a collaborative effort aimed at collective success. For Maya, the transformation was both exhilarating and daunting. The spotlight was unfamiliar territory, and the pressure to perform was now compounded by the responsibility to lead. Yet, the thrill of contributing meaningfully to the team's progress fueled her determination. As practice wound down, the players gathered around the coach for a final drill focused on communication and coordination. Maya took the lead in organizing her teammates, her voice steady and clear. The drill unfolded smoothly, each player responding to cues and adjustments with a fluid teamwork that had been absent before. Coach Reynolds observed silently, nodding approvingly. Even the most skeptical players, like Marcus and Elena, who had been quick to judge Maya's abilities, now watched her with a different-eyed respect mingled with cautious optimism. Later, as the team dispersed, Coach Reynolds pulled Maya aside. The gym was quieter now, the scattered sounds of departing players fading into the evening. "You surprised me today," he said, his tone more measured than usual. "You've got a mind for this game that I didn't see before. Keep pushing that edge." Maya met his gaze, sensing a new kind of challenge. "I will," she replied, voice steady. Walking to the locker room, she felt the weight of the day's events settle over her, not as a burden, but as a promise. The path ahead was still steep, but the first steps toward acceptance and leadership had been taken. In the weeks that followed, the team's dynamic shifted noticeably. Practices became arenas of strategic planning as much as physical endurance. Maya's role grew steadily. She was no longer just the quiet freshman but a player whose insights shaped plays and morale alike. During games, her calm composure under pressure and ability to read opponents added a layer of depth that had been missing. Coach Reynolds began to rely on her during timeouts, seeking her perspective on adjustments and matchups. The team responded, rallying around the newfound sense of purpose. Even the skeptics softened. Marcus, who had once dismissed Maya's quietness as weakness, found himself impressed by her decisiveness and basketball IQ. "She's got that instinct," he admitted one afternoon after practice. "You can't teach that." Maya's influence extended beyond tactics. Her quiet resilience inspired teammates who struggled with their own doubts. Elena, a talented but inconsistent shooter, started showing renewed focus, buoyed by the team's evolving attitude. Through it all, Maya remained grounded, aware that progress was fragile and that the pressures of the season would test them all. But the confidence that had been simmering beneath the surface now blazed brighter, fueled by the knowledge that leadership came in many forms, not just loud commands or physical dominance, but intelligence, strategy, and quiet strength. Coach Reynolds, once the embodiment of relentless critique, began to adapt as well. His approach softened, balancing discipline with encouragement, recognizing that toughness wasn't merely about breaking players down but building them up in new ways. The narrative of the team was transforming, and Maya stood at its heart not as an outsider, but as a pivotal force reshaping the story. Her emergence challenged old assumptions, revealing that true leadership often lies beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The season stretched ahead, full of uncertainty and challenge, but the team moved forward with renewed hope and cohesion. Maya's unexpected rise had ignited a spark, one that promised to illuminate the path through the toughest battles to come. The atmosphere in the Lincoln High gym had shifted palpably over the past weeks. Once a place where harsh words and frustration echoed off the walls, it now buzzed with a renewed sense of collaboration and purpose. Coach Reynolds had begun to reshape his approach, weaving Maya's insights into the fabric of the team's strategy and training, and the results were unmistakable. Practice sessions were no longer dominated by brusque commands and isolated drills. Instead, they had evolved into dynamic workshops of shared ideas and teamwork. Coach Reynolds, who had long relied on a rigid, top-down style, now encouraged open dialogue. He listened intently as Maya articulated her perspectives, often pausing mid-instruction to incorporate her suggestions. "Good call on the zone defense adjustment," Coach Reynolds remarked during one session, nodding toward Maya. "Let's run that in scrimmage." The team responded enthusiastically, the players moving with a newfound synergy that was evident in their crisp passes and seamless rotations. The culture of the squad was transforming, from a collection of individuals competing separately to a cohesive unit striving toward a common goal. Maya found herself at the center of this transformation. No longer the tentative freshman on the sidelines, she had become a linchpin, her quiet confidence inspiring those around her. She took her role seriously, not as a position of authority, but as a responsibility to uplift her teammates. One afternoon after practice, she gathered a small group of players, Jasmine, Marcus, and Elena, around her, discussing strategy and motivation. The conversation was open, candid, and, most importantly, supportive. "Sometimes it's not just about how hard you push," Maya said, her voice steady. "It's about knowing when to trust each other, when to listen, and when to adapt. That's what makes a team unstoppable." Jasmine nodded, her usual guarded expression softening. "You've really changed how we think about playing together." Marcus added, "She's right. I used to think it was all about individual hustle. Now I see it's more than that." Coach Reynolds observed these interactions with a growing sense of pride and humility. His earlier insistence on toughness as the sole measure of strength was giving way to a more nuanced understanding. During a team meeting, he addressed the group, his tone reflective. "I was wrong to think that toughness meant breaking you down," he admitted. "True strength comes from lifting each other up, from combining our skills and minds. Maya has shown me that, and I'm grateful." The team responded with applause, a testament to the respect Maya had earned and the unity they now embodied. As the season progressed, the impact of this cultural shift was evident on the scoreboard. The Lincoln High basketball team embarked on an impressive winning streak, each victory a reflection not only of talent but of the transformed team dynamics. They played with a fluidity and resilience that made them formidable opponents. During a pivotal game against a long-standing rival, Maya's leadership shone brightest. With seconds on the clock and the score tied, she orchestrated a play that involved precise passing and unselfish movement. The ball ended in her hands just outside the three-point line. Without hesitation, she launched the shot, a perfect arc that swished through the net as the buzzer sounded. The crowd erupted, teammates swarming her in celebration. Coach Reynolds' face broke into an uncharacteristic smile, pride radiating from his eyes. The victory marked more than a win, it symbolized the triumph of the new team ethos: resilience, strategy, and unity over brute force and individualism. Off the court, Maya's rise challenged long-held notions of leadership and toughness within the sport. Her quiet strength became a beacon for teammates and coaches alike, illustrating that leadership was not defined by volume or aggression but by clarity, vision, and integrity. Her journey was a catalyst for change within the school's athletic program. Coaches began to re-evaluate training methods, incorporating mental toughness and strategic thinking alongside physical conditioning. The ripple effect extended beyond basketball, inspiring other teams to embrace a holistic approach to competition. In quiet moments, Maya reflected on how far she had come, from an unsure freshman shadowed by doubt to a respected leader shaping the future of the team. The challenges had been many, the journey arduous, but her resilience had paved the way for growth not only in herself but in the collective spirit of the team. One afternoon, as she sat on the bench watching younger players practice, Coach Reynolds approached. "You've done something remarkable here," he said, his voice sincere. "You've changed lives, not just played the game." Maya smiled softly. "It was never just about me. It was about all of us." Together, they watched the next generation of players take the court, a diverse group filled with potential and promise. The gymnasium, once a place of harsh judgment and isolation, now echoed with the sounds of encouragement and teamwork. The team's transformation stood as a testament to the power of resilience, self-belief, and the quiet strength that can unite and elevate an entire group toward greatness.